In this video we're going to talk about why internet marketing is a lot like an iceberg, because on the surface internet marketing just seems to kind of work. On the surface you do just a few things and everything else just happens. But a bit like all that most people see of an iceberg is the small part showing above the open surface. There's an awful lot going underneath. There's more to both. And since I'm not a marine biologist by any stretch of the imagination, I'm going to concentrate on the internet marketing side of things for the rest of this. And if you're like most people, you'll look at something, maybe buy a how-to book or product relating to it to fill in the gaps in your knowledge, which is why the Dummies series of books, despite the title, sells so well, and then you'll try it out. It's at the try it stage that the underbelly of the internet starts to loom up. Just by way of an example, let's look at something fairly simple, which is an autoresponder. You could do everything it does. Keep a list of email names and addresses. Near enough every email program offers to help you organise contacts in lists and bunches of lists, and send them messages, either regular messages or mass ones when there's special news. And that's pretty much all an autoresponder does, but in practice the autoresponder account I use, Aweber, has 3 pages just for me to fill out the basic settings. So the simple task, has 3 separate screens just so their system knows what information to put in to the outgoing emails, how to handle requests to join a list, and quite a few other things. It allows me to personalise and do all sorts of other things. Then sending messages has 4 options: regular messages, broadcast messages, blog broadcasts, which are different. I could set it up so that every time I put a post on my blog it'll go out as a broadcast, and then a template. So if I've got a list for internet marketing, another one for, I don't know, self-help, and another one for something else, I could use a different template for each. Then the message screen itself has a further 4 options depending on how I want to construct the message, whether it's plain text but with lots of, for me, irritating extra help, type in my own HTML code, which I can't imagine anyone in their right mind wanting to do, drag and drop, or, because I've been using it for donkey's years, the old message creator, the legacy one they call it I think now, which is the one I use because I'm a creature of habit, and I don't see why I should learn a new interface just because I'm doing the same thing as I've done for the last 10, 12, 15 years. And so it goes on. We're just still talking about sending emails here. Lots more screens, lots more options just to send an email, and the same goes for near enough anything else you encounter on the internet. Stuff that looks simple at first glance is rarely simple, and that means you can't hope to know everything about everything, which is why you need to enlist the help of others. You use a hosting company to put your website on the web. Back in the early days people used to actually host them in their own computer on their internet connection and hope it stayed up. That's not something you'd really want to do. Domain name registrars will look after your domain name and remind you when it's up for renewal. Software creators will create software, because it's highly unlikely, even if you're a skilled PHP programmer, that you'd want to create something like WordPress from scratch. Graphics creators, copywriters, product creators, and if you need the help on that, that's why private label rights, that's what PLR stands for, private label right products, are popular, because someone else has created the product for you, and quite often the sales page as well. Then you use a payment processor because you didn't want to deal with Visa and MasterCard and everyone else. You use someone else as a go-between, and quite likely you use an affiliate to help you sell your products if that's the way you go. The list goes on again. So at this stage of your internet marketing career you've got a few choices. One, give up because it's just all too daunting. Hopefully you're not going to do that. Secondly, wait until you know everything, and that could take forever, so again, don't go that option. And the option I'd thoroughly recommend is start and then just catch up on the things you don't know as you encounter them. As I said, that's the one I hope you're going to take. There will be things that'll be what seem like mountains. They might be a mountain, they might just be a molehill. And if all that seems a bit daunting, just start relatively small and work your way up to bigger things. That's what most people have done. Very few people will go into $1 million launch from day one. The odd person will, but they're quite odd. And if at all possible, get the help of a friend or a mentor, because they'll help guide you through all the small and often seemingly unimportant details that can make or break your internet marketing career. The friend or mentor is also useful because it's a second pair of eyes examining what you've done. and that can speed things up a lot. You know how you scream at the television and think, why don't they do that? That's kind of what a friend or a mentor does, and they'll often spot stuff that's too obvious for you to spot. And as long as the person you choose is up to date in their knowledge, which isn't a given, I'm sorry. Sometimes they claim they're up to date, but they're not. So you will need to do a bit of research on that. But as long as you're dealing with them, not someone in their outgoing telephone department, some of the really big names tend to do that. They'll claim you'll get personal time with them, and it might be 5 minutes. It might just be an answering machine, whatever. But usually, with the really big people, it's what used to be called a boiler room. And the person you're dealing with is probably learning alongside you, and there's a good chance they'll help you go further faster. But you need to be careful. Better to deal with someone a bit smaller, maybe allegedly not quite as good, but in practice probably better because you're getting personal help. But with help, you'll make less mistakes than if you go alone, or if you use books as your sole form of help. And the best way, I think, is to work on any project you do, a bit like writing a book, and create an outline for your internet marketing. Choose an area or a niche, and that's kind of the umbrella everything else sits under. Then choose several sub-areas or sub-niches to cover within that, and then several subtopics for each of those. So you might have one area, then split into, 5-10 different sub-areas, each of which have 5 or 10 different areas within them. Then you've got 50, 100 different things you can talk about on your website. And sketch out anything that needs to happen to make your internet marketing turn from dream into reality. And this has a lot of advantages. Making that kind of outline helps to reduce the feeling of overwhelm. You're not looking at a huge, great panorama shot of the Grand Canyon. You're looking at that small rock in front of you. And the small steps involved are relatively easy to carry out, and that kind of thinking applies to almost everything we encounter. Think about it with burgers to cars, phones. They've all got lots of component parts. Most of those parts are relatively simple, but there are subtle twists that make them complicated. Safety glass in cars is a lot different from the glass in your windows at home, and even that changes depending on whether it's single or double glazing, whether it's in a large area, etc. Even the special sauce on your burger is complicated. It's got lots of ingredients if you read them. But with internet marketing or anything else, you won't know what to do, or you won't know what you don't know until you start. It's kind of, you need to know what to ask before you get the right answer to the questions. And for me personally, if I'd known all the things I didn't know when I started internet marketing back in 1995, I'd probably never have started. I had to learn HTML back when WordPress didn't exist, and even front page, Microsoft's attempt at a site generator didn't exist. I had to learn the scary bits of Unix so that I could set file permissions correctly for programs that I uploaded. Nowadays, your FTP software, either that you upload or your developer does or your control panel does, will take care of that almost all the time, and so on. But when I started, didn't know what was in store. Actually, I still don't know what's going to be in store for me, because I haven't got a crystal ball. So just like you, I can guess what's in store over the next 12 months or whatever. I can make predictions, and until that time's elapsed, I don't know for sure what will happen and what won't, and what's just guesswork. And like the book 1984, some of it's come true, some of it's we got control beyond what was envisaged in that, but it seemed scary at the time. It's weird. But with experience, you can get it right more often. But not all the time, no one does. Go with your instincts is really what I'm saying here, because you'll improve over time as long as you keep doing it. Keep notes, because there's way too much to remember without a checklist. Keep notes of what you've done, what worked, and probably at least as importantly what didn't work. And if you'd like more help with creating website content, take a look at the page that's linked below here, which is all about taking massive action on creating website content, because you'll learn faster. The iceberg will start showing a little bit more of itself, because you'll be able to dive underwater quickly and have a look, and you'll know what to look for. So click the link below and join me on this adventure.